Health Hour. The Caribbean and African Health Network, CAHN, along with its national partners, are incredibly pleased to continue to bring to you targeted health and well-being education delivered by Caribbean and African doctors. These health hours are all about empowering, educating and giving space to Black people so our communities can look after themselves better. Every Saturday, our Black GPs or consultants present on those health and well-being topics that affect you, your family members and friends. Some weeks will vary and will include other panel members such as pharmacists, specialist nurses and faith leaders. Our health hours cover a range of topics and include mental health, heart health, women's health, reproductive and sexual health issues, men's health, respiratory problems, cancer, sickle cell and many more. We have not forgotten to include within our health hours the many societal, cultural, religious and racial challenges that can go hand in hand with health problems and influence how we should respond to meet health and well-being needs. The sessions are designed for you and we want you to use the time to listen, learn, share your experiences and ask questions to our Black doctors. During every session, we will gather your feedback so we can continue to respond to the needs of our Black community. To request any particular topic, please email health@cahn.org.uk. We encourage you to invite others to our health hour sessions. Spread the word in our community. CAHN is funded by the National Lottery Community Fund.
Good morning. My name is Ngozi Ediosage. I'm a doctor and I work in Manchester and I'm helping to host today's health hour. So wherever you're watching, whenever you're watching, I know lots of people watch this in their spare time. Thank you for watching. And it's really important that we have given an opportunity to our community to look after and empower themselves with taking charge of their own health. So I consider it a real privilege to introduce our speaker this morning, who is called Dr. Fii Pendaeli. She's a psychiatrist and she works in Trafford. And she'll be talking to us today about mental health strategies to thrive in tough times. I think this is a really important topic, actually, because times are quite tough. We've seen the rise of food banks. We've seen lots of people, the overdiagnosis, well, not the overdiagnosis, but the increasing diagnosis of cancer. Lots of things that could be better. So this is a really timely topic. But what I'd like you to do is not just listen, but think about what one thing you want to change today. So also, we'd like you to leave feedback. These health hours are for you. And at the end of the health hour, if there are any other topics that you'd like us to focus on, just leave it in the chat. So thank you, Dr. Fii. I'm really looking forward to your talk this morning.
Thank you, Dr. Ngozi. And thank you all for attending this session this morning. Thank you, CAHN, for inviting me to do this session. It's my first session with yourselves. I hope I am able to deliver what you asked me to deliver today. And thank you all for joining, wherever you're joining from. It's morning here, wherever you are. It could be afternoon, could be evening. I hope you've had a good day if it's evening. I hope you're having a good day so far if it's morning. So without further ado, let's just put the slides on and I'll just do a brief introduction once I've done that. Are the slides showing?
Not yet.
Hold on a second. Must be a place. Hold on. How about now?
Yes, we can see the slides now. Thank you.
You can see the slides now?
Yes, I think they were previously in slide mode, so we could see the whole slide. So you could do that if you can put it into excellent. Thank you.
Is that a slide mode now?
Perfect. Perfect.
Fantastic. Okay, that's absolutely fine. Right. So as Dr. Ngozi introduced me earlier on, so I'm Dr. Fii Pendaeli, originally from Tanzania. I've been here for many years. I've done psychiatry since 1993, both in Africa and in UK. At the moment, I'm working in the community in Trafford with the home-based treatment team. Today's topic was introduced to me by CAHN. They've asked me to talk about this mental health and strategies to thrive in tough times. And for me, tough times are ranging from as minor ones as having an argument with somebody. It is a tough time for both of you because you've had an argument, to as big disasters as pandemics and things like that. And so Dr. Ngozi said there's lots of increase in, as say, use of food banks. People are really struggling in their lives at the moment for so many reasons. And so on the chat, if you've had a tough time, you can give us an example of what type of tough time you've had, not necessarily giving us the details. It's just the nature of the tough time you've had, which would be helpful. And then we can discuss about those tough times. But overall, tough times are always going to be tough times. And at some point in time, they will always affect you. If it's not just your mental health, they'll also affect your physical health. So as I said, the tough times can be in the personal levels, or it can be a global crisis of the pandemic that we had in the recent years. And what's important is about how do you deal with those ones, those difficult times. And some of these few strategies include building resilience, managing your stress, and all the other things that other people have suggested in the past, like exercises and things like that. So some of these strategies is not something that you've not heard before, but I think it's important to repeat them and make people understand how important they are, because many of them are research-based. I mean, why would every one of us be repeating the same strategies over and over again? Maybe the question should be, why have you not started using them in the first place? Because yes, you can use them in challenging times, but even in other times when they're not challenging, you can still use exactly the same strategies. So there's no reason why you can't use them. And many of these strategies, they don't necessarily need finances to be able to do them. And nowadays with the social medias and the technology, I mean, there's a lot of resources absolutely everywhere where you can actually get coping skills or strategies that you can use. And the other thing as well is one person's coping strategies may not be beneficial to another one. So everyone's got their own. You have to personalize your own skills. So while we talk about all of them in general, you have to literally personalize them to your skills. So if, for example, things like exercises, when you're looking at your self-care, I might say I can't run, but somebody else might say running is the best one for me. So you have to individualize your own strategies. Healthy eating is not just for people with physical health difficulties, that also applies to people with mental health difficulties. And these are very important because you have your healthy mind, it can work properly, it can think properly, it can process properly, it can put strategies together properly. Sleep is a big one for absolutely everyone. Hobbies, I mean, we grew up playing all sorts of games, having all sorts of interests, and then we from childhood, and then we grow up and all of a sudden we've stopped. Okay, I used to play netball, I don't play netball anymore. Why? I don't know. You see, so there's lots of these other hobbies. I like sewing, but I'm not sewing. Why am I not sewing? I don't know. But try and revisit those things because they make a huge difference in both your physical and mental health. And yeah, do something you enjoy. Okay, it's all about yourself. And this is where sometimes we have to be a bit selfish. Yes, we've got family, we've got friends around us, but sometimes you need that selfish time to do just what you want to do. It could be half an hour, it could be an hour, it could be any length of time, or you could split the time within the day, but you just have to make it your time. Okay, so being active obviously has an impact in all these areas. Obviously, you build your self-esteem. You can see on my little photo there, able to be flexible, tender, thoughtful, loyal, determined, curious. All that is important for you during difficult times. And as being active, as I said, I mentioned about exercises. So you can start with very, very small exercises. It could be just weightlifting, literally a bottle of 500 mils of water. You don't have to buy it as, you could buy it water because you want to buy water, but you can still use it as a weight. So you can use those ones. That's what I'm saying. Sometimes you just don't necessarily have to have use a lot of money to do some of these things. And if you want to achieve something, okay, you want to achieve, maybe you want to go on a holiday, you want to buy something, okay, set yourself small goals and to be able to achieve that. So save maybe £5 a month or something like that. Give yourself enough time to be able to get the right funds to get what you want, okay? And the changes that happen in the brain, there's certain areas of the brain that be activated that allows you to then feel more relaxed, to be able to focus and make proper decisions about your life, okay? The other big thing is about building a support network. I think many of us have got several support networks, whether it be from the religious point of view or any other community like CAHN, for example, is a support network, or any local support networks. It could be a women's group. It could be absolutely anything. Those are very important because when you have such support, you do have somebody or people who you can share some of your experiences or some of your feelings. That on its own is very significant in terms of offloading what else is going on in your brain. You may not necessarily want to share the details of what you're going through, but at least the fact that you are able to have that break of thinking about those things by sharing some of the experiences you have within your group. For women's group, you could be doing different things that are relevant to the women, could be working with children, could be working with other societies or other communities. Absolutely anything is really important. And once you commit in such a sort of support network, you will find that even when you're going through difficult times, you know where to go, you know who to contact and help you feel better, okay? So these are just some of the examples that you could just do in terms of the community support. I mean, many of us, some of us, our families are far away, so we'd apply things like these Zooms or WhatsApp or FaceTime videos to be able to meet up with our family members. For those who you're lucky to have your families close by, okay, you can arrange meals together, you can arrange to go somewhere together, you can arrange walks together, you can do absolutely anything. Workplaces, you've got colleagues in work, you could decide maybe lunchtime today, let's go and have a coffee at the cafe nearby and things like that. And the biggest thing, obviously, with social media and television and everything, we completely forget to talk. Just sitting around the table and having a chat. The good way of getting together without using our phones or something, even though some of the games you can use from the phone, but play games, Scrabble, I don't know, all sorts of games. Board games are the good ones, which bring your thinking together. You don't think about your difficulties. You're playing a game, you want to win, so you have to focus on the game. Even if the game lasts for half an hour, 1 hour, believe me, that 1 hour, half an hour that you did not think about the difficult times is absolutely powerful and makes a huge difference in your life. So look at these things, see what you can do within your family or friends or within your community. It makes a huge difference, okay? Oh dear, this is the big one. Managing stress. Oh, where do you start? There's so many things that are stressful in this world these days. And again, mindfulness. Who hasn't heard about mindful meditation? Okay, deep breathing exercises. There's loads of YouTube videos and other videos in the social media where you can use these activities. The most important thing is how you do it. So you really need to learn on how to do it, because I could start breathing deeply now, but it won't have an effect. You really have to be focused and be in that moment, literally listening to yourself as you breathe in and out. Imagine listening to how the air is flowing into your nose, all the way back into your lungs, and how it comes out. Focusing on that on its own, again, is really powerful in terms of making you feel relaxed. Again, there's areas in the brain that are activated when you're doing this. So it helps you relax and allows you to have a break from whatever is going on. Now, if you do it for a short time every single day, it builds up and you know how you will feel the difference. If you just do it once and then don't do it again, you may go back and say, like, it's not working for me, but you didn't give it enough time to actually allow it to work. Time management is a big one. We have so many things we have to juggle around: kids, work, I don't know, other personal stuff. But if you're able to manage your time better, you'll see the difference. I've tried and I've seen the difference. So you prioritize what's important for you. Again, when you're going through difficult times, whatever that might be, the prioritization of the time management are very important, because it could be somebody who's taking the medication, for example, regularly for a condition, cancer, whatever it is. You time your medication, you time the time you have to rest, you time the time you have to do certain activities. And the fact that you are structuring your day in a more relaxed way, it helps you really well in terms of making your day better and subsequently your life better. Goals, we make all sorts of goals. Again, the realistic goals are more important, and I think we'll touch on that one a little bit later. Right, this is another one: cultivating a positive mindset. I struggle with this one. Sometimes I just am so positive. Some days it's like, oh my God, where's my positivity gone to? That's normal. Don't give up. Okay, you can still you're still able to do that. Again, the interesting one is the positive self-talk. I mean, you can tell yourself, we always talk about the negative things. I've not done this one, I'm crap, this doesn't happen, I'm a failure, all that stuff. That's okay, but don't forget about the positive ones, okay? You've done something wrong. Everyone does something wrong, okay? Why not pat your back and say, like, actually, I've achieved this. I managed to set this goal and I've achieved it, okay? I'm doing well in terms of my budgeting. I know I can save £5 this month because I've cut down on this, I've cut on that. So pick up any positivity in absolutely everything you're doing. That is very satisfying, and it will help you get the motivation to actually go on, okay? Surrounding yourself with positive influence, that's another good one, okay? It's very difficult to sometimes to avoid some negative influences, but if you are able to pick up other areas, other activities, other places that you find more positive influence in your life, focus on those ones, okay? Sometimes the negative influences are within our own family. How do you escape your own family? It's very difficult, isn't it? But there's always somewhere you can get that positive influence, okay? Right, problem solving. I mean, there's lots of difficult... In mental health, we come across many people with different types of stresses, presenting with different types of conditions and certain difficulties. The issue becomes, you find that some people have difficulties in even the basic problem solving skills, okay? And you're just asking yourself, what happened? What went wrong? What difficulties are they facing? Why can't they resolve this problem? For me, I look at it and I see it as a small problem. For them, it's a massive problem. And they're really genuinely struggling to see what you're talking about. How can you say it's not a difficult one to manage? And while I'm struggling, I can't manage. So you have to really break it down into small chunks and small things. Apology for the noise. And small things that they are able to see and actually manage in the best way they can at the level they're at in terms of problem solving skills. The other problem we have is about seeking support. Many difficulties in seeking support. We come across a lot of people doing that. They definitely are really struggling when it's just a simple things like, I'm struggling with my finances. They have no idea where to get the support for their finances. They have no idea who to contact to seek support with their finances. They can't even seek support from their own families. So it's very, very difficult. Very, very difficult. Okay. Sense of humor, I'm telling you, there's all sorts of places where you can get some sense of humor from people, from videos, from movies, from whatever. Just try and engage in some sort of humor. That on its own as well tends to bring a lot of relief when you're going through difficult times. And then again, as I said, we set goals, we have plans, but they don't always go according to plan. I've had goal settings and they've always gone wrong at some point in time. But then try and see what else can I change in order to achieve the same goal, and make sure the plans that I change to, they then come round back to achieving the same goal. So it could be increasing the time at which I have to do a certain part of the plan in a different way. But rather than doing it for 5 minutes, I have to do it for half an hour. So that's fine. I can't beat myself by doing it, taking longer to achieve my goal. But I have to be flexible, because if you're so rigid, then you add stress onto your already difficult time you're going through, and that on its own is going to be much more worse for you. Keeping an open mind. Yeah, you had these ideas, they're not working. Okay, that's fine. What else can I do? Okay, so you just keep an open mind. What else can I change? Okay. Again, seeing challenges as opportunity for growth. Okay, it's not a failure. It can be a pathway to an achievement as opposed to a failure. Okay. Right. I talked about goals before. The best way of setting them is using the SMART way: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time bound. Okay. Having said that, within those SMART goals, you can still work out the flexibility. Okay. So you have to make sure you can work out the flexibility within, yes, time bound, but okay, how can you be flexible with that time? Okay, to be able to achieve the goal at the time that was you're supposed to achieve it. So when you're setting them from the very beginning, give yourself enough time to be able to make those flexible changes within the plans that you've got. Okay. Oh, I like the volunteering one. I mean, there's lots of people who are volunteering in so many levels in different places. The other one is also helping or giving others something. So giving can be absolutely anything, whether it's you're giving it as a charity, as material things, or giving in terms of knowledge, giving in all sorts of forms are very important. You get satisfied, you feel better that you're able to help somebody. That level of kindness that you are able to give to somebody else has a very good positive impact on your mental health well-being. Okay. Again, as I said, we grew up having all sorts of interests and passions, and then we dropped them. Just pursue them wherever you can do. Okay, learning new information, very important. Okay, not just important for mental health well-being like just now. I mean, as you grow older, your brain gets older as well. Okay, so in terms of you trying to maintain your brain activeness, learning new skills is very powerful. It tends to help the brain and the wiring of the brain continue to be as active as it can to the later years of your life. So it's very important to try and learn new skills. Or self-compassion. Wow, we forget about ourselves a lot. Okay, you can care for absolutely everyone: parents, kids, friends, neighbors, colleagues, you name it. And the one person you always forget is yourself. So please, please, please try your best to remember you and be very compassionate about yourself. Okay. Accommodate your feelings, accommodate your mistakes. Yeah. Okay. You just have to accept who you are and try and work out how best you want yourself to be, using all sorts of skills and everything, the other strategies that you've mentioned so far and the things that you've learned in the past too. Right. So after all that, in summary, okay, these are the things that you need to look into. The self-care, the support from other people, the resilience, and the positive mindsets are very important, okay? All these would help you, as I said before, not just through challenging times. I think it's important to do them even when their times are not as challenging as other times, okay? Always seek help, okay? It's not a sign of failure, it's a sign of strength, okay? Small step at a time. Improving your mental health well-being is very important, not just for the mental health itself, but also for your physical health, okay? And what I've done, I've also added these resources for anyone in UK. These are very, very useful resources. So from 1 to 13, these are always accessible online. There's chats, there's online services, there's information just for you to work on. The government websites to do with if you want to volunteering services, charity organization, local council website, you can get lots of other information in there as well. And the other two articles which are found online, the top one has got this toolkit. I went through it and it's absolutely amazing for young individuals who are really struggling during difficult times. So it talks about the difficulties that you might go through and then it tells you what you need to do. Okay, so for any young person listening or parents of young people, please just go through the article. There's lots of other information that are not, I mean, it's just general information, but I think there's certain sections very, very specific talking about if you're struggling with this, this is what you need to do, okay? It's, I think it's Australian, but it's a very good article for the young people. The second one is looking at in terms of looking at the mental health strategies within the African culture and how that needs to be promoted or how that can be helpful. They don't speak about specific methodologies, but they talk overall about the importance of looking at other cultural and spiritual aspect of how, I mean, some of the methods that other individuals, different cultures use in order to manage difficulties when times are tough. So, so that's also useful in terms of helping you with your mental health in the difficult times. And that's me done. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you so much, Dr. Fii. That was really, really interesting, really interesting. We have a couple of questions in the chat. If anybody has access to the chat and would like to, perhaps a bit shy and would like to ask questions, you can also message me directly or message Dr. Fii directly as well.
Yeah.
So one of the questions we've got is that there are particular problems. I suppose sometimes when you listen to the news, it almost feels like an epidemic with mental health issues in Black men. And I wondered if you wanted to say anything specifically about that, especially with your work in the community and how if there was a Black man listening to this now, a young Black man who is going through issues, what would be your advice to him to sort of, what's the sort of the things he can do to reach out to help if he's really feeling particularly vulnerable? Because we know that this is a group that is that we really need to target, isn't it?
That's correct. And it's not just the young ones, even the older ones. It's so sad to say the way they're struggling and all they have to do is talk to somebody. That's the main thing. I mean, men in general, it doesn't matter where they're coming from. What we have found out, they're really difficult to open up. They take longer to open up. about absolutely anything, worst of all, their mental health needs. Okay. Remember, in our culture, a man is strong. Okay. They don't cry, they don't do wrong, these beliefs have been there for years and years and years, but we know they do struggle emotionally. And as I said on one of the slide, it's not a failure, it's not you having failed if you're struggling with your mental health. So with the young ones, what I would suggest, okay, and this is where the support network comes into place. It could be absolutely anywhere. If you're still in this school going age, there's people within the school where you can go to, because some people struggle to even tell their family members. If you've got sisters and brothers and you confide in one of them, you can use them to communicate that information. You can communicate with your parents. If you're struggling to do it with your family, those links that I put in the end, there's a lot of them that are for young people, because I did a presentation for young people, so I've got lots of those ones. Some of them are just chats, so you don't have to see anyone. You don't have to speak to anyone. You just go onto this link, you chat with somebody, say, this is what I'm struggling with. You don't have to say a word apart from just the chat. Some of them are online. You could do it online. Okay, so you can just go online. You don't have to face anyone. It's not like a Zoom or anything like that. You can just put your question in there. Some of them are applications. So you download, I think Quells is an application. So some of them are applications on your phone. So you just go and type in what you're going through. Okay. And so those are the main places where you need to go. You have to go somewhere. Okay. The GP. Okay, you can go to your GP. If you're an age where you can go yourself, that's fine. But if you're age that you can't go yourself, you have to go with your parent. And sometimes you are shy. You don't want to tell your parents. You don't want the parents to know because you're thinking you're getting into trouble. You're not getting into trouble. You're seeking help. Okay, so they have to find some avenue. There's no specific way for each child. Everyone's different. They've got different personality. They've got different beliefs. They've got different upbringings that are either hindering or allowing them to communicate their needs. On the presentation I did, you could just see the kids are nodding. The parents were on the one side and the kids were on one side. You could see kids are nodding. The parents were like turning around, looking, what are they talking about? But they need a forum. Again, it could be church. This was in a church situation, so it could be church. So they have to learn to identify a person. It doesn't have to be family. It could be a total stranger, to be able to pass on that information. And the person who's receiving the information, if it's an adult, they have to work with the child to see what's the best way to communicate this same information to their parents, because at some point in time, they'll have to know. Okay, and they'll feel offended that you've gone to a stranger rather than going to them. Okay, so it's a difficult topic. It's another educational session for just that population.
I'm sure.
But there is, yeah, absolutely. So there is ways of actually doing that. It's empowering them to be able to communicate that. I'm hoping I've answered a bit of that question.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yes, I think that would be that's really helpful. Someone's put a question about fish oil. So they've asked, can fish oil improve my mood and my brain health?
Right. These are the complementary methods of trying to manage your mood. So fish oil has got specific oils that are good for our brain. That's fine, okay? But it's also good for different parts of our body as well. I mean, on its own, okay, it's not enough, okay? What you need to do is, if you're struggling with any symptoms at all, okay, as I said, I mean, those websites will give you a lot of information. All you have to do is just write down exactly what you're feeling, okay? So the research doesn't give us enough information to confirm that they do work. They can help a little bit, but it's not like a treatment as such, okay? It's like any other condition. I mean, St. John's wort, for example, for many, many years, it's been used by different people to help with depressive moods, for low mood, okay? Up to yesterday, I was in one of these teachings, and St. John's wort is still on the list. And this is on the list of medication that can help improve your mood. Okay, so this is not being dismissed, because for some people it has an effect, but it's not regarded as a treatment. So it's just like additional treatment. For mood, the priority usually starts with the psychological side of treatment as opposed to medication. And these other medications just really to boost a little bit, but it won't like help you remove all symptoms. The other thing as well people need to note is basically when you're going through this difficulty, we'll just stick with the mood theme. So when it's about the mood, while these other medication and vitamins and supplements can make a difference, you have to be aware of what led to you be feeling that way and whether that issue is still ongoing. If it's still ongoing, you can't blame what you're using for not working, because you've not addressed the reason why you are feeling the way you feel. Okay, it has to go both ways. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's I mean it's really difficult. Everybody feels a bit down at some point
Yes.
in their lives, and
Yeah,
it's how you manage
absolutely.
that. And I think
Yeah.
the fact is that there seem to be so many more reasons to feel stressed.
Yep.
There's so much information. There's, people are going through tough financial times. But one of the
Yes.
things I remember once was a strategy, and someone said, no matter what you're going through, there'll be something that you're
Yes.
grateful for.
Absolutely.
And there's something about committing, even if it's one thing or what, and I think it's the one I saw was every day think about 3 things that you're grateful for and write them down.
Yes. Absolutely.
And being alive,
Yep.
so just 3 simple
Absolutely.
things.
Yeah.
And that can improve your mood, because I feel actually there are things that you don't recognize that are really great about that's what's going on, whatever is going on in your life. The fact that perhaps you have family, access to family,
Yeah.
the fact that things that you might consider just by the by, maybe big to somebody else. So
Very true.
focusing on things
Absolutely.
that perhaps that are going well is another way that you can help yourself.
Absolutely. And that's what I mentioned on one of my slides about positive self-talk. I mean, you need to tell yourself, you need to focus on what you've achieved and the positive things that you said. And the biggest word you've used is the commitment. And I think that's where we fail. Okay. As I said, none of these strategies I've mentioned today is something that nobody has heard at all. You've heard them, but how much time have you committed to actually work on even half of a strategy or one of the strategies? As you said, is that commitment. And the difference is massive. I've committed to doing exercise every morning for 30 minutes. Some days I do 20, but the massive difference I've noticed in my functioning at work, the thinking process, it's absolutely amazing. It makes a huge difference. Remember, when you're exercising, as I say, there's areas of the brain which are being activated. So areas about emotion. It makes you feel more relaxed, much happier. So it's not us just saying mindfulness, meditation, exercises, I don't know, healthy eating. They all have an impact on your life. The
So
brain
I think,
processes, yeah.
yeah, I think what I find difficult is everybody who's listening to this, everybody knows that exercise is good.
Yeah.
We all know that having a positive mindset is good, but sometimes it's
Yeah.
just really hard.
Yes.
Because even me as a medic,
Yeah.
I know that I need to exercise a bit more.
Yeah.
But sometimes you look up and you look out, it's a bit dark outside, and you think, you know what, I'll do
Yeah.
it tomorrow. It's just hard. And I
That's true.
know,
It is hard.
it's just hard.
So
But there are
absolutely.
times in my life where I've had a real focus on something. So
Yep.
last year, my daughter was getting married, and I thought, I want to get into shape. That was a real motivator for me, real motivator.
Exactly.
And
Yes.
so I did exercise on a regular
Yeah.
basis for the 3
Yeah.
months leading up to that. And then after
Yeah.
the wedding, I feel I haven't been as good as I should have been. But actually
So
finding a focus in your life. I mean, it's like
yeah.
when people meet somebody new,
Yeah.
you want to put your best foot forward. People general exercise a bit more, eat healthier because, you know, something good is going on in your life. But I think it's trying to reach out to people who feel that things are just not going as well. There's a question in the chat about how are you, how they're curious about how you stay mentally strong when bills keep piling up. So that for me speaks to that person's at the moment. That's the big thing that seems to be it not seems to be that it's in their life that is like a block for everything else. But actually,
Absolutely.
there'll be things that whilst the bills are piling up, there'll be things that are going well. There are things that you call
Absolutely.
upon to sort of dig deep and get over that hurdle of not ignoring, but being aware that they're there, but actually concentrating on some of the things that are going well in your life. Because if the bills are piling up, I'm sure you'll be able to find a strategy to try and deal with that. But it's trying to compartmentalize some of these things, because if not, the bills just take over completely.
Exactly. So for that, I think what's important is as well is how did you get to that situation? Okay. Start looking backwards, step by step, all the way to the point where you could pay all your bills. Okay. So something was going right up until one point where something happened and you started struggling to pay the bills. So what was that issue? Okay. How did you end up in this situation? Okay. Now, the things that we can change and there's things that we can't change. Okay. So for the things that you can change, what can you change? Okay. That can support you to start working on the issue that led you into that situation. Because if that didn't happen, you wouldn't be struggling and you piled up your bills on and on and on. Okay. So one could be for some reason, okay, your expenses have gone up and you've prioritized in a way that the bills don't get a fair share of the money that you earn. Okay, as a result, because they're not a priority, you prioritize your money into something else, it becomes a problem at some point in time. Okay, now if you're a UK resident and you're struggling financially, depending on your circumstances, the Citizen Advice Bureau is one of the best places you can go. Nowadays they are online. When we many years ago, they used to be in a certain area of the town center, a certain office. You just have to book an appointment. You don't even book an appointment. You just walk in, somebody gives you advice and you leave. There's a whole full of information on the website, depending on where you are. Just go in there, book your appointment, sit down with somebody with all your finances. Listen, this is where I'm at. Okay. There's always support. We get a lot of people who are going exactly through the same thing that
I'm
is on
sure.
the chat.
I think
Absolutely.
Citizens Advice are really, really good forum. But the fact
Absolutely.
is that for many people, you've got the same income, but your outgoings are going up through no fault of yours. So I think that's the difficulty for some people. However,
absolutely.
I think we've got some ideas in the chat about things that bring people happiness, baking, cooking. I like this.
Yes.
They try a new route on a journey that you do constantly. So instead of going the
Very
same way
true.
to work every day,
Yep.
find a slightly different route just to keep the
Very
journey
true.
interesting. Now, there's
But
another
also with
question.
that route, when you're walking, you have to be, this is where mindfulness come into be in the moment and observe absolutely everything that's happening on the route. That's the most powerful part of the change of route. Okay. So even if it's the same route, you don't want to change, but have you been walking through that route and actually recognizing what was happening? There's birds up the tree, or those flowers are beautiful, they're purple, and that car was brown, or whatever. It's just being in that moment as you, but most of us, we walk. There's lots going on in our head, nothing to do with the walking, nothing to do with where we're going. We're processing all sorts of things, or we're on the phone constantly through the route. That's not as powerful as just forgetting everything else and be in that moment as you walk.
There's another question here, and this, I suppose, is something that you will be able to answer better than most. It says, why does it feel like mental health is still such a closed doors topic? And do you think it's just as bad as it's always been, or are people more open with mental health issues? And if they're not, why is it that you don't take people don't take mental health issues the same they take as if you have hypertension? Why is there a stigma associated with mental health?
That's a difficult one and it's always going to be there, I think, no matter how much we try.
Do you think it's getting worse or getting better?
I think it could be both. One, it could be getting worse because if you look at the world around at the moment you put the TV on, it's all negativity until you put it off. Okay, there's a lot of good going on. So every individual processes that information in different ways. Okay, some affected so much emotionally to the extent where they just switch off the television and one outdoor activity. Some of them, it triggers a lot of their own pain, their own trauma that they've gone through, and looking at the television, how somebody else is going through that one, it makes them just almost relieve the trauma. Okay. So there's that side of things, but also there has been a shift in terms of communicating more about how we feel about ourselves. Okay. And that then shows statistically, maybe it's increasing, but it's always been the same, probably. Okay, it's just people were not talking about it. Okay, and again, education. I mean, people are educated left, right, and center in so many ways. The shift is there, but it's very, very slow. I think until we get significant data to see that shift in the concrete way, it's going to be difficult at this point in time because there's so many factors involved. There's individual factors, there's community factors, there's society factors, there's global factors. There's so many things going on at this point in time. And again, it comes back to you as an individual. Okay. Overall, the society is looking at mental health in a very negative way. And sadly, when it is especially associated with things like crime or other negative impacts, or they're mentally unwell. If you remember the Stockport situation with this boy, it's a lot of the link that is going on. So people are already thinking, if I was to express myself and how I feel and the thoughts that I have and all that stuff, I'm scared. Okay, scared because you don't know this person who's going to listen to you is going to understand what you're going through and help you in the best way they can. But also scared, if this is the case, am I going to end up being like that person who had mental health problems and committed all this crime and I'm going to be a bad person. Okay. So as I said, everyone's division, it depends on your beliefs. How did you grow up believing about mental health? Are you willing to shift and say, actually, it's not something that I should be afraid of. I should be able to communicate. And that's why we're talking about trying to prevent that from happening in the first place, isn't it? And help ourselves, prevent ourselves to get into that situation. We can't avoid it altogether, but there's lots of things that some of them I've mentioned today we can start working on and really focus on preventing ourselves from getting that situation.
Okay. There's somebody there's a comment, a question in the chat as well, and I think this session is why this question is why we're doing this today. And it says, I feel sad all the time. Antidepressants aren't helping me either. I don't have the energy or the will to exercise or do anything. Can you suggest anything? I also, before you answer the question, the other thing that was in the back of my mind is the role of family and friends, because we have a role in supporting people who you know are going through a tough time, because you've seen the mood change. You've seen the fact that perhaps they don't reach out as much, they don't call as much. So this person who's put this in the chat, the people he or she's associating with, that will have seen that they are different. And so when you're answering this, could you just talk about what strategies we as family and friends can use and some advice for this person who's feeling sad?
Right. Okay. So again, as I said in the so feeling sad is a normal emotion, but when it goes beyond a certain period of time, it becomes a problem. Then together with other symptoms, though, not just feeling sad, there's sadness, there's lack of motivation, there's lack of sleep, there's poor appetite and all that. So you're heading towards a depressive episode. Okay. Now, there's so many factors that might have led into this situation, and I don't know what they are, could be psychological, could be physical, could be absolutely anything, okay? Approaching this, and as the person said, they've tried antidepressant. Is it just one? Have you tried two? Have you tried three? Or I don't know, okay? And what is important as well to look into people who are feeling sad is about what have they got in themselves as skills to manage that. They might have some skills that they don't know that can help them feel better about themselves. The people around them would have seen exactly what I've said, as you said. And it's about how much are they supporting this person. So one thing could be asking whether there's been a shift with, if they are on an antidepressant or something else, has there been a shift in the symptoms for the first time they've reported them to the time that they actually a few days later or a few weeks later or a week later or something like that. If there's no shift, do they the people who are looking after them should are they aware of where they could go to seek support? Okay, because as a family there's only so much you can do. Okay, the factors that led to this person feeling sad, does the family know them? Can the family support resolve those issues so this person cannot feel sad, or they can't do that? Because I said there's things that can change, the things you can't change. Okay, so the thing that they can't change, are they able to do anything about those things? Okay, maybe they can, maybe they cannot. Okay, in terms of medication, not all people respond to medication, and not all sadness or low mood responds well to medication. So the psychological side of things, okay, have they tried to look into that aspect as well? Okay, referrals can be done on their own. Okay, self-referral can be done. Okay, if you're in the UK, or you can ask the GP to refer you. The sadness is it takes like forever before you get the first appointment. In the meantime, some of the strategies I mentioned earlier on can help you. As you said, Dr. Ngozi, pick up that little positivity that you've had, whether it's 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 1 hour ago, two days ago, and work on that one and look at it and to support to start changing your mindset to positivity. I would suggest this person goes back to the GP, and if they've just used one antidepressant, the options are to try a second antidepressant. If it doesn't work, there's options of combining, there's option of adding other medication onto the antidepressant to support, for the two of them to work better. So without knowing the full history, I mean, it's an open book basically in what can and can't help. Yeah.
Thank you. So I just want to say that the CAHN has an advocacy service that you can reach out to, and I hope you feel better soon.
Yeah, I hope so too. Yeah.
Just want to say thank you so much to Dr. Fii for the session. And I want to end on a note where someone has said, I use the smile therapy to help me through difficult times. And I try and remember at least one thing that has brought me laughter or happiness and made me smile in the past. And I'm going to do that after today. So thank you.
Perfect.
And I now hand you back to the CAHN team. But thank you so much for a wonderful session.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you everyone for sorry, not a shadow. Thank you everyone for attending today's session. I'm just gonna show thank you to Dr. Fii and Dr. Ngozi. I'm just gonna show a couple of slides as to the next sessions that we do have over the next couple of weeks and months, so that you might be able to sort of join us in these sessions as well. So please just bear with me as I share this. I don't know if you can see it.
So we can see your screen, but we can't see slides.
You can see slides?
We can see it now. It's
Okay,
just not on full screen.
Okay. Trying to see. Get that. Perfect. Great. So thank you everyone for joining us today. Our next health hour is going to be next week, Saturday, same time, 11 a.m. to 12:15 p.m. Join us to hear how Black doctors might be able to assist you with some of the issues that are critical to the Black population as well. If you want to register, please, you can scan the QR code on the screen, or you can email info@CAHN.org.uk. The topic would be Valentine's Day, loving yourself first, and self-advocacy in healthcare. We'll be joined by Dr. Von Shuro. That's Saturday, 15th of February, 11 o'clock to 12:15. Also, our Black Healthcare Awards 2025 nominations are open now. You can join us in recognizing outstanding Black health professionals shaping healthcare. Please nominate yourself by using the QR code on the screen, or you can go to blackhealthcareawards.can.org.uk to make your nominations as well. We have our winter health improvement program if you're struggling with flu. Please see the following dates and venue on the screen at the moment. If you need to sort of like get more information about that to sign up, please contact sakinat@can.org.uk for that information. International Women's Day on Friday, the 7th of March, 2025. CAHN will be celebrating International Women's Day. The theme for this event is womb health in the digital era. We're going to have conferences and workshops on fibroids, menopause, sickle cell, screenings, menstrual conditions, etc. And then there'll be a celebration of women with networking, drama, cultural performances, and Caribbean African food. Please email event@can.org.uk to reserve your spot. Friday, the 7th of March, 2025 in June, International Women's Day. You can also become an exhibitor by booking a stall for the International Women's Day by emailing iwd@can.org.uk. It's going to be happening, on the same day, Friday, 7th of March in Hume. So please, if you would like to become an exhibitor and have a stall at our International Women's Day, it's one of our flagship events at CAHN, please email iwd@can.org.uk. You can join our counseling team for a baby loss bereavement support session if you recently experienced baby loss or miscarriage. It's a free online session by our counseling team for culturally sensitive grief counseling, support group, and resources. If you might want to benefit from this service that we do offer, please email Rosalyn, that's ROSALYN, @can.org.uk. Our next session is on Thursday, 20th of February from 6:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. But we have further sessions from that as well, which are displayed on the screen. For more information about this, please email Rosalyn, ROSALYN, @can.org.uk. Our research team will be hosting a focus group on Mpox, viral disease. It's an online 60 minutes, 1 hour session. If you would like to participate in this, please email research@can.org.uk. Every participant will be given a £25 sort of like voucher or like a thank you for your time. On the 9th of March 2025, between the time of 7 p.m. and 9 p.m., we're going to be hosting the Coming Together in Hope at the Manchester Cathedral, reflecting on Black communities that were affected by the COVID-19 virus. It's 5 years on now, and that would be on 9th of March, Sunday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. at the Manchester Cathedral. So please, you can scan the QR code to register, or you email events@can.org.uk to register your attendance as well. Thank you very much for joining us today. I also want to thank Dr. Fii and Dr. Ngozi and all of the colleagues there from CAHN for putting together this health hour. It was really, really helpful for myself as well as I joined. And I'm sure everybody within the call was able to pick up something from the call today as well. So thank you. That's the end of today's session, and we hope to see you next week on the 15th.
Welcome to our Caribbean and African Targeted Health Improvement Program, CAHN Health Hour. The Caribbean and African Health Network, CAHN, along with its national partners, are incredibly pleased to continue to bring to you targeted health and well-being education delivered by Caribbean and African doctors. These health hours are all about empowering, educating and giving space to Black people so our communities can look after themselves better. Every Saturday, our Black GPs or consultants present on those health and well-being topics that affect you, your family members and friends. Some weeks will vary and will include other panel members such as pharmacists, specialist nurses and faith leaders. Our health hours cover a range of topics and include mental health, heart health, women's health, reproductive and sexual health issues, men's health, respiratory problems, cancer, sickle cell and many more. We have not forgotten to include within our health hours the many societal, cultural, religious and racial challenges that can go hand in hand with health problems and influence how we should respond to meet health and well-being needs. The sessions are designed for you, and we want you to use the time to listen, learn, share your experiences and ask questions to our Black doctors. During every session, we will gather your feedback so we can continue to respond to the needs of our Black community. To request any particular topic, please email health@cahn.org.uk. We encourage you to invite others to our health hour sessions. Spread the word in our community. CAHN is funded by the National Lottery Community Fund.